Alex's fingers trembled as he read the text message again. "We're in Hawaii. Take care of the kids." 20 years of marriage reduced to 8 cold words. The kitchen, usually alive with family chatter, felt suddenly vast and empty. Half-chopped vegetables abandoned on the cutting board. The pasta water boiled over, hissing against the stovetop like his racing thoughts. A sob caught in his throat as he glanced at the family calendar where Rachel had penciled date night for Friday. Has someone's betrayal ever cut through your life without warning? Share your story below, like if this familiar pain resonates, and follow to discover how Alex transforms this devastating moment into unexpected strength. His knees weakened as children's laughter filtered from the next room, oblivious to how their world had just shattered. Alex quickly wiped his eyes, inhaling deeply. He had 4 innocent reasons to keep standing, even as his heart collapsed under the weight of Rachel's goodbye. Alex's fingers trembled as he read the text message again. "We're in Hawaii. Take care of the kids." 20 years of marriage reduced to 8 cold words. The kitchen, usually alive with family chatter, felt suddenly vast and empty. He gripped the counter's edge, knuckles whitening as the room tilted slightly. The pasta water boiled over, hissing against the stovetop like his racing thoughts. He stared at the phone screen, the glow illuminating his shocked expression. Rachel had kissed him goodbye that morning, mentioned a late meeting, nothing more. "See you tonight," she'd said, barely making eye contact. Had he missed something? The signs must have been there. His mind raced through recent weeks, her distraction, the late nights. Her password suddenly changed on her laptop. A small sob caught in his throat as he glanced at the family calendar on the refrigerator. Rachel's handwriting marked tomorrow as Emma's algebra test, little Michael's dentist appointment next week. How could she just leave them, leave him? He blinked rapidly, determined not to break down. "Dad, is dinner ready yet?" Emma called from the living room, the sound of cartoons in the background where the younger children played. "5 more minutes," he answered, voice impressively steady, despite the earthquake happening inside. "Not now. Hold it together for them." He turned down the burner where pasta water had boiled over, automatically wiping the spill with a dish towel. The sauce spoon slipped from his other hand, splattering red against the white tile floor like a wound. He stared at it, time stretching as his world contracted to this moment, this irreversible change. His phone buzzed again. Another message from Rachel. "Don't try to contact me. We need space." We. The word hung in his mind like an accusation. We who? Rachel and someone else. His chest tightened as realization dawned. The late meetings, the distraction, the new perfume she'd started wearing. The business trip last month she'd been vague about. Alex glanced toward the living room doorway. 4 innocent faces that would look to him tonight for explanations he couldn't give. 4 hearts that would break just like his was breaking now. He had to be their rock, even as he felt himself crumbling. He splashed cold water on his face at the sink, practiced a neutral expression in the reflection of the kitchen window. 20 years of marriage couldn't end in a text message. It couldn't. But somewhere deep inside, where truth resided, Alex knew it already had. A tear escaped despite his efforts, tracking silently down his lined cheek as children's laughter echoed from the next room. He quickly wiped it away, squared his shoulders, and reached for the pasta strainer. Whatever came next, his children needed dinner, needed normalcy, needed him. Tonight, he would be strong for them. Tomorrow, when they were at school, he would allow himself to fall apart. But for now, he stirred the sauce one last time and called out, "Dinner's ready, kids. Come wash your hands." Alex moved through dinner preparations like a man sleepwalking, his body following familiar routines while his mind reeled. The pasta, overcooked now, went into a serving bowl. Sauce spread across it, hiding his careless preparation. A quick salad assembled from the vegetables he'd been chopping when his world collapsed. He set the table automatically for 5 before catching himself. His hand hovered over Rachel's plate, then slowly removed it along with her silverware and glass. The asymmetry of the table setting struck him as obscenely wrong, a visual confirmation of what the text message had done to their family. "Dad, why are there only 4 places?" 10-year-old Thomas noticed immediately. Alex swallowed hard. "Your mother won't be joining us tonight." "Is she working late again?" 8-year-old Michael asked, climbing into his chair. "Sort of," Alex answered, the first deliberate lie forming a lump in his throat. "She had an emergency at work, a conference call." Emma, at 17 the oldest and most perceptive, narrowed her eyes. "She usually texts when she's working late." "She did text," Alex said, the partial truth easier to deliver. He focused on serving the children, his movements deliberately steady as he passed each plate. The meal progressed, with Alex asking practiced questions about school, nodding at appropriate moments while barely registering the answers. He felt as though he were watching himself from across the room. This stranger maintaining normalcy while inside a storm raged. "Dad, you're not eating," Emma pointed out, her gaze too knowing, too searching. Alex looked down at his untouched dinner. "Just tired, I guess." He forced a forkful into his mouth, tasting nothing. "When's Mom coming home?" Michael asked, sauce smeared across his cheek. "She promised to read chapter 3 tonight." The question pierced Alex's carefully maintained composure. His fork paused midway to his mouth. A flash of anger surfaced. How dare Rachel leave him to answer these questions, to witness the disappointment in their children's eyes? "I'll read it to you tonight, buddy," he managed, his voice steady even as his hand trembled slightly. Emma was still watching him, teenage instincts sensing something beyond a missed dinner. "Dad, what's really going on? Is everything okay?" "Everything is falling apart. Your mother has abandoned us. Nothing will ever be okay again." "Your mother just needed some time to herself tonight," he said instead, avoiding Emma's scrutinizing gaze. "Let's finish dinner so we can get to homework." After the meal, Alex moved through the evening routine by rote. Dishes washed, homework supervised, teeth brushed, stories read. With each passing hour, Rachel's absence grew more noticeable, more difficult to explain away. Michael cried at bedtime, missing his mother's good-night kiss. Only when all 4 children were finally asleep did Alex allow himself to break. Alone in the kitchen, washing the last of the dinner dishes, he watched a tear drop into the soapy water. Then another. His shoulders began to shake as he gripped the edge of the sink, silent sobs racking his body. As he dried his hands, he noticed Rachel's coffee cup from that morning, lipstick on the rim, a shade he didn't recognize as hers. A small detail, but it settled in his stomach like a stone. The first physical evidence that something had been wrong long before the text message. Alex picked up his phone, thumb hovering over Rachel's contact. He needed answers, explanations, but her final text echoed in his mind. "Don't try to contact me. We need space. We..." With shaking hands, he set the phone down and headed toward the home office. If answers wouldn't come from Rachel, perhaps they could be found elsewhere. It was going to be a very long night. Alex closed the office door behind him with a soft click, turning the lock. The house had finally fallen silent, 4 children asleep, unaware their world had shattered. Outside, rain had begun to fall, gentle drops tapping against the window like a hesitant question. He sank into the desk chair, the leather creaking beneath his weight. On the desk sat their shared laptop, closed like a vault of secrets. Beside it, a framed wedding photo caught the moonlight filtering through the blinds. Younger versions of themselves smiling, Rachel's hand resting on his chest, his arm around her waist. 20 years ago. A lifetime. Alex opened the laptop, the screen's blue glow illuminating his exhausted face. Rachel's email was still logged in. She'd been using it that morning before leaving for work. His finger hovered over the inbox icon, a momentary moral hesitation gripping him. They had never invaded each other's privacy before. But she's the one who broke trust first. He clicked. Scrolled. Breath caught in his throat. Daniel Rossi, her co-worker from the marketing department. Dozens of emails spanning months. He opened the earliest one from January, innocuous enough. A lunch meeting follow-up. By February, the tone had changed. Inside jokes. Personal comments. March brought the first "I miss you" exchange. April, the first "I can't stop thinking about you." May, plans for Hawaii. Alex's hand covered his mouth as the evidence mounted, shoulders beginning to shake. Each message revealed another layer of deception. Another moment Rachel had sat across from him at dinner, looked into his eyes, and lied. He found hotel confirmations, flight bookings for 2, a detailed itinerary for a 2-week stay. Then he saw it, an email from 3 days before their anniversary dinner last month. Hardest night coming up. Sitting across from him, celebrating 20 years, knowing we'll be gone soon. Can't wait until we're free, just a few more weeks of pretending. A strangled sound escaped his throat, part sob, part primal cry. Their anniversary dinner. He'd given her the diamond earrings she'd admired months earlier. She'd teared up, told him she loved him, all while planning her escape. Alex twisted his wedding ring, then deliberately removed it, placing it beside the keyboard with a soft clink that seemed to echo in the silent room. 20 years, he whispered to the empty room, voice cracking. Our anniversary dinner. You sat there, planning to leave. His fist struck the desk, causing the wedding photo to topple face down. The glass cracked, a jagged line running between their smiling faces. Fitting, he thought bitterly. Body-racking sobs overtook him, forehead pressed against the cool desk surface, years of memories fracturing in his mind. Every vacation, every Christmas morning, their children's births. How many of those moments had been genuine? How much of their life together had been real? When the tears finally subsided enough for him to focus again, Alex noticed something else. An email with the subject line, "Financial arrangements complete." Sent yesterday, the day before she left. "I've taken care of everything. Transferred funds to the new account. We'll have plenty to start fresh." Alex straightened, wiping his face with his sleeve. Transferred funds? What funds? A cold dread settled over him, different from the emotional devastation of moments before. This was practical, immediate. He quickly opened a new browser window, logged into their joint accounts. Checking account, nearly empty. Savings, balance insufficient. The retirement fund they'd built over decades, gone. The betrayal had just doubled. Not only had Rachel abandoned their family, but she'd also taken their financial security. Dawn was breaking as Alex organized what he'd discovered into a folder, methodical despite his exhaustion. Tomorrow would bring practical challenges, bank visits, lawyer consultations, but for now he collapsed onto the office sofa, wedding ring left on the desk, as rain continued its steady rhythm against the window, washing away the world he had known. Morning arrived with cruel brightness, sunlight streaming through blinds Alex had forgotten to close. He blinked awake on the office sofa, momentarily disoriented before yesterday's reality crashed back. His neck ached from the awkward sleeping position, but the physical discomfort paled against the hollow ache in his chest. The school routine couldn't wait for his personal crisis. With mechanical efficiency, Alex showered, shaved, and dressed, his reflection in the bathroom mirror revealing red-rimmed eyes and deeper lines than he remembered. He looked like he'd aged 5 years overnight. "Just get through the morning," he murmured to himself, straightening his collar with hands that still trembled slightly. Breakfast was a performance of normalcy. Pancakes flipped, lunches packed, permission slips signed. 4 children, with 4 different reactions to their mother's continued absence. "When's Mom coming back?" Michael asked, maple syrup creating a sticky ring around his mouth. "She's still handling that work emergency," Alex replied, the lie coming easier the second time. "I'll pick you up after school today." Emma remained silent throughout breakfast, watching Alex with shrewd teenage eyes that missed nothing. The drive to school was filled with forced cheerfulness as Alex dropped off each child with reassuring smiles that didn't reach his eyes. Only Emma hesitated before exiting the car. "Something's wrong," she stated flatly. "Is it about Mom?" Alex gripped the steering wheel tighter. "We'll talk later, Emma. Have a good day." The bank's revolving door felt impossibly heavy as Alex pushed through it 20 minutes later. His rumpled appearance caught on the security camera. A disheveled man in yesterday's shirt, clutching a folder of financial documents. At the banking terminal, he logged into their joint accounts, hoping against hope that the late-night discovery had been some exhaustion-induced hallucination. The screen blurred before his eyes as the same insufficient balances appeared. "Mr. Marshall, I'm Ms. Torres. Would you like to speak in my office?" A gray-haired woman with kind eyes and professional demeanor approached, having noticed his distress. Inside her office, Alex spread the account statements across her desk, voice steadier than he felt. "I need to understand what happened to our savings. Our retirement account." Miss Torres reviewed the records, her expression shifting from professional concern to personal sympathy. "These withdrawals began approximately 5 weeks ago," she noted, pointing to the first transaction. "Small amounts at first, then larger sums. The final withdrawal was 2 days ago. Nearly everything except the minimum balance to keep the accounts open." "My wife," Alex said, the word tasting bitter now. "She left yesterday. Apparently she was planning this for some time." Ms. Torres slid a box of tissues closer, though Alex didn't reach for them. The withdrawals were all authorized with proper identification and passwords. "To a new account under Rachel Marshall." "I didn't even know the account existed," Alex admitted, hot tears of anger replacing yesterday's shocked grief. These weren't the helpless tears of abandonment, but burning drops of rage that he quickly wiped away. "I can see the transfer destination was an account at First Regional under the name Rachel Winters." Ms. Torres looked up. "Her maiden name?" Alex nodded, another piece clicking into place. "The account. Is there any way to contest the transfers? That's our retirement, our children's college funds. I'll need to involve our legal department. These were joint accounts, which legally means either party can withdraw." She hesitated. "Mr. Marshall, have you spoken with a lawyer? This situation requires more than banking assistance." Alex's phone buzzed in his pocket. Another text from Rachel. He ignored it, focusing instead on the bank statements. "I'll be contacting a lawyer today. Can I get copies of all these transactions? Dates, times, amounts? Ms. Torres efficiently compiled the documentation, her practiced efficiency a counterpoint to Alex's inner turmoil. Document everything, she advised. Every communication, every withdrawal. It will matter in court. Court. The word landed like a stone. Yesterday's emotional collapse was transforming into something harder, more determined. Thank you, Ms. Torres. Driving home, Alex's phone continued buzzing with notifications, Rachel posting on social media. At a red light, he glanced down to see vacation photos. Rachel on a Hawaiian beach, smiling broadly, tagged with someone named Daniel Rossi. Carefree. Happy. While he faced financial ruin and 4 confused children. The house was unnaturally quiet when Alex returned. He set his folder of financial documents on the dining table, adding it to the email evidence from the night before. His systematic organizing was interrupted by the sound of footsteps on the stairs. Emma stood in the doorway, arms crossed defensively. School had barely started. She'd skipped. You lied, she accused, eyes flashing. Mom isn't on a work emergency. She's in Hawaii. It's all over Instagram. Alex exhaled slowly. Emma, you never appreciated her, Emma continued, words tumbling out. Always so caught up in your schedules and routines, your boring life. No wonder she needed to escape. The accusation stung worse than any financial revelation. Emma, you don't understand. She told me she felt suffocated. You never gave her any freedom, any excitement. You drove her away with your boring routines and constant schedules. Alex froze. She told you she felt suffocated. When? Emma faltered slightly. Last month, when I asked why she seemed unhappy. The timeline aligned perfectly with the emails. Rachel had been poisoning their daughter against him while planning her escape. Emma, Alex said carefully, your mother left yesterday. She emptied our bank accounts. She's in Hawaii with a man named Daniel Rossi from her office. They've been planning this for months. Emma's expression wavered between disbelief and dawning comprehension. You're lying. I wish I were. Alex's voice broke. She abandoned all of us, Emma, not just me. I don't believe you, Emma shouted, tears streaming down her face. You're trying to turn me against her. Emma, I hate you, she screamed, turning to rush back upstairs. Her bedroom door slammed so hard that a framed family photo fell from the hallway wall, glass shattering on the hardwood floor. Alex stared at the broken frame, Rachel's smiling face now separated from the rest of them by a jagged crack in the glass. Another fitting metaphor. With deliberate calm that belied the storm inside, Alex gathered the broken glass, then returned to the dining table. He arranged the financial documents in chronological order. Tears occasionally dropping onto the papers, quickly blotted away to preserve the evidence. His cell phone buzzed again. With steady hands that surprised him, Alex picked it up and blocked Rachel's number. Then he reached for the business card Mrs. Torres had given him. His lawyer friend Richard's number was the next call. The tears of shock had dried. The tears of grief had subsided. Now, as Alex methodically built his case, the occasional tears that fell were different, tears of determination, of resolve. Rachel had taken his past. She would not take his children's future. Richard Green's law office occupied the 3rd floor of a downtown building Alex had passed hundreds of times without notice. Today, the brass nameplate beside the door represented something he'd never imagined needing: legal protection from the woman he'd shared his life with for 20 years. "I wish we were meeting under better circumstances," Richard said, rising from behind his desk to grasp Alex's hand. They had been friends since college, though their busy lives had reduced their contact to occasional birthday messages and Christmas cards. "So do I," Alex replied, sinking into the leather chair opposite Richard's desk. He placed his folder of evidence between them: financial records, email printouts, text messages, the documentation of betrayal growing thicker by the hour. Richard reviewed the materials with professional detachment that gradually gave way to personal concern. "Alex, I've seen divorces, but this level of premeditation is unusual. The calculated financial withdrawal pattern suggests careful planning." "She'd been transferring money for over a month," Alex confirmed, his voice steadier than he felt, "while sitting across from me at dinner every night." Richard nodded, making notes in a legal pad. "The abandonment aspect is significant for custody considerations. She left 4 minor children without arrangement or apparent concern for their welfare." The word custody hit Alex with unexpected force. Despite everything, he hadn't fully processed that their children would become legal pawns. "I want full custody," Alex stated firmly. "She abandoned them without a backward glance." Richard leaned forward, removing his glasses. "Are you sure about pursuing full rather than joint custody? It's a more aggressive position. She's in Hawaii with her lover, Richard. She emptied our accounts and left 4 children with a text message. What kind of mother does that?" The anger in Alex's voice surprised even him. As Richard outlined the legal process ahead, Alex took careful notes, his handwriting more precise than usual, as if controlling the letters could somehow control the chaos his life had become. Filing deadlines, documentation requirements, temporary custody arrangements, financial affidavits. Each item on the growing list represented another mountain to climb. "This will be challenging emotionally and practically," Richard cautioned. "Are you prepared for what could be a lengthy battle?" Alex thought of Emma's accusations that morning, the younger children's confusion, the empty accounts, the broken trust. "I don't have a choice. They only have me now." The drive home felt longer than usual, Richard's warnings echoing in his mind. The house, when he arrived, was unnaturally quiet. A note on the counter from Mrs. Jenkins next door explained she had picked up the younger children from school, as arranged. Emma's backpack was missing, still avoiding coming home. Alex moved through the empty rooms, the afternoon silence oppressive. In the master bedroom, Rachel's closet stood half empty, the remaining clothes a mockery of normal life. Her nightstand still held her reading glasses, a tube of hand cream, last month's book club selection with a bookmark at page 73, the ordinary remnants of someone who had no intention of returning for them. Emma's bedroom door remained firmly shut when she finally returned home, her footsteps heavy on the stairs, the slam of her door a clear message. Alex stood outside, hand raised to knock, then lowered it. Pushing now would only drive her further away. Dinner that night was a strained affair. The younger children sensed the tension, their usual chatter subdued. Thomas asked again when their mother would return. Michael cried when Alex couldn't give a satisfactory answer. Emma remained silent, pushing food around her plate without eating. "Emma, you need to eat something," Alex said gently. "I'm not hungry," she muttered, avoiding his gaze. "Emma, just leave me alone." She shoved back from the table, the screech of chair legs against tile making everyone flinch. "Stop pretending everything's normal when it's not." Alex glanced at the younger children's frightened faces. "Emma, please. Not now." "When then?" "When are you going to admit that Mom is gone because of you?" Emma's voice rose, tears streaming down her face. "You made her miserable with your boring life and your stupid routines and your—" "Emma!" Alex's sharp tone silenced her momentarily. "This isn't the time or place. Your brothers don't need— they need their mother, and she's gone because you weren't enough for her." Emma's words struck like physical blows. "I hate you. I wish I could live with Mom instead of being stuck here." She stormed from the room, leaving stunned silence in her wake. Michael began to cry again, Thomas following suit. Only 12-year-old Lily remained dry-eyed, reaching for her father's hand across the table with intuitive compassion. "It's not your fault, Dad," she said quietly, with wisdom beyond her years. Alex managed to salvage the evening routine, homework checked, baths supervised, bedtime stories read with forced enthusiasm. Only when all 4 children were finally asleep did he allow himself to step onto the back porch, sinking into the old wooden swing that had comforted generations of their family. The night enfolded him in darkness as gentle rain began to fall. Here, alone, without witnesses, Alex finally broke completely. His shoulders heaved with silent sobs as rain mingled with tears on his face. The weight of responsibility, of single-handedly holding together 4 fractured young lives while his own heart lay in pieces, pressed down until he could barely breathe. Has betrayal left you picking up the pieces while someone walked away smiling? Share your experience below, like if this touches your heart, and follow to see how Alex transforms deepest despair into his most powerful weapon. Emma's hatred, born of Rachel's manipulations, the younger children's confusion and pain, the financial precariousness, the mountain of legal challenges ahead. It was too much for any one person to bear. For one dark moment, as rain soaked through his shirt and tears blurred his vision, Alex considered giving up. What if Emma was right? What if he had been the problem all along, too predictable, too boring, too insufficient? He twisted his wedding ring, then deliberately removed it, holding the gold band in his palm as rain fell upon it. 20 years of marriage, washed away like footprints on a beach. The rain continued falling as midnight passed, then 1 o'clock, Alex rocking slowly in the porch swing, where he had once cradled each of his children as infants, where he and Rachel had planned their future on summer evenings, where his life had once seemed so certain. But as the first hint of dawn lightened the eastern sky, something shifted within him. The tears subsided, his breathing steadied, his mind, always organized and methodical, began to focus. Rachel had calculated her escape, planned every detail. He would be equally methodical in his response. For the children's sake, for his own dignity, Alex slipped the ring into his pocket and stood, shoulders straightening. The first glimmer of sunrise caught the raindrops on the porch railing, transforming them from darkness to light. He wouldn't break. He would rebuild their security, their stability, their trust. Starting now, the man who entered the house as dawn broke was not the same one who had collapsed on the porch swing hours before. His eyes were red-rimmed but clear, his purpose defined, his resolve hardened by the very tears that might have destroyed him. 3 days had passed since Rachel's departure. 3 days of maintaining routines for the children, while Alex's phone periodically lit up with texts he refused to read. Each message went automatically to a folder his lawyer had advised him to create. Evidence. Alex sat at the dining room table, surrounded by neatly organized documents. Financial records from Ms. Torres, email transcripts. A custody petition Richard had prepared. His methodical mind found comfort in the order he created amid chaos. A new text arrived, the notification briefly interrupting his concentration. "Alex, You're being unreasonable. I just needed some space to figure things out. We can talk about arrangements for the children when I get back next week." He added it to the evidence folder without responding. Rachel's casual presumption that she could dictate terms, stoking a slow-burning anger that had replaced his initial shock. He'd learned from Richard that she had no idea yet about the custody filing or his documentation of her actions. The younger children had settled into a fragile new normal, accepting his vague explanations about Mom's trip with the resilience of youth. Emma, however, remained a wall of hostility, barely speaking except to inform him she'd be staying at a friend's house for the weekend. "Emma, we need to talk before you go," Alex said as she headed for the door, overnight bag in hand. "There's nothing to talk about," she replied coldly, hand already on the doorknob. "I understand you're angry, but—" "You don't understand anything," Emma cut him off. "Just leave me alone." The door closed behind her with deliberate restraint, not slammed, but firmly shut, a perfect metaphor for the emotional barrier between them. Alex returned to his paperwork, the house quiet, with only Lily home, the boys at Saturday morning soccer practice with a neighbor's family. The silence felt oppressive until his phone chimed with a text from Emma's friend's mother. Emma decided to come home, dropping her off now. Surprised, Alex met them at the door 15 minutes later. Emma brushed past him without explanation, heading upstairs while he exchanged confused glances with the other parent. The sound of Emma moving around upstairs continued for several minutes before unexpectedly stopping. Then, soft footsteps on the stairs. Alex looked up from his paperwork to find Emma standing in the dining room doorway, her expression unreadable. In her outstretched palm lay a gold wedding band, Rachel's ring. "I found this," she said quietly, "in Mom's bathroom drawer. She left it behind." Alex stared at the ring, its absence from Rachel's finger now explained. "Where were you looking?" "I needed her perfume," Emma admitted. I don't know, to feel closer to her, I guess." Her voice caught. "It was under her jewelry box, like she hid it there. On purpose." Alex nodded slowly, understanding the significance. Rachel had removed her wedding ring before leaving, another piece of premeditation. "You should see this too," Emma said, pulling out her phone and opening Instagram. She handed it to Alex, showing Rachel's latest post, her and Daniel on a Hawaiian beach, his arm around her waist, both wearing matching new sunglasses that Alex recognized from a conversation months ago. Rachel had admired them in a magazine, and he'd planned to surprise her with a pair for her upcoming birthday. "She looks happy," Emma said, her voice small and confused. "How can she look so happy when everything here is falling apart?" The question hung between them, Emma's certainty visibly crumbling as she stood awkwardly in the space between accusation and understanding. "Emma," Alex said carefully, "I know your mom told you she felt suffocated here. Did she tell you about Daniel?" Emma shook her head, tears forming. "She said she just needed to find herself again, that you didn't understand her anymore." She looked down at the ring still in her palm. "But she was already planning to leave with him, wasn't she?" "Even when she told me those things?" "Yes," Alex answered simply. "She was. She lied to me." Emma's voice cracked on the last word, the realization striking her fully. "She used me against you. Emma, I said such terrible things to you." The tears spilled over now, tracking down her cheeks. "I blamed you because that's what she wanted me to believe." Alex stood, moving around the table toward his daughter. "You didn't know." "I should have known. The way she was always on her phone, smiling at texts, how she'd changed the subject when I asked questions. Emma looked up, her face a mirror of Alex's own pain. "I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry I didn't believe you." The wall between them crumbled as Emma collapsed against her father's chest, shoulders shaking with sobs. Alex wrapped his arms around her, his own tears falling into her hair as they shared their first moment of honest grief together. "I said I hated you," Emma whispered against his shirt. I don't hate you." "I know," Alex assured her, holding her tighter. "I know you don't." They stayed that way for several minutes, the healing power of truth beginning its slow work. When Emma finally stepped back, wiping her eyes, she noticed the organized documentation on the table. "What is all this?" "Evidence," Alex explained, "for the custody hearing." Emma's eyes widened. "There's going to be a custody hearing. Your mother left the country without arranging for your care. She emptied our bank accounts." Alex gestured to the paperwork. "I'm filing for full custody of all 4 of you." Emma was quiet for a moment, processing this. Then she picked up one of the emails, the one about Rachel's anniversary dinner deception, reading it with growing horror. "She was planning it even then, when we all went out to celebrate 20 years? Alex nodded. "According to the emails, yes." Emma set the paper down carefully, as if it might burn her fingers. "How could she do this to us?" "It to you?" Fresh tears welled in her eyes. "You gave her those diamond earrings. You saved for months." "Emma, I don't want you to get involved in this part of things. This is between your mother and me." "But I am involved," Emma insisted, a new determination in her voice. "She lied to me, used me against you, made me think horrible things that weren't true." She straightened her shoulders in a gesture so like Alex's own that it momentarily startled him. "I want to help." "Help?" "With the evidence. The custody case." Emma gestured to the paperwork. "I'm good at organizing things. I can help you sort through all this." Alex hesitated. "Emma, you're 17. This isn't your battle to fight." "It is my battle," Emma countered. "She abandoned me too, Dad, not just you. She left all of us with a text message while she ran off with some guy." Her voice grew stronger with each word. "And then she tried to make it your fault. My brothers and sister deserve better than that." "I deserve better." Alex studied his daughter's face, seeing not just Emma, but himself reflected there, the same determination, the same sense of justice. "Okay," he conceded. "You can help me organize. But Emma, she's still your mother. This doesn't change that." "I know," Emma said quietly. "But it changes how I feel about her." Together, they sat at the dining table, Emma quickly grasping the organization system Alex had created. Her fingers moved efficiently through the papers, sorting and labeling, with a focus that matched his own. Occasionally, a tear would fall as she encountered a particularly painful piece of evidence, but she would wipe it away and continue. As afternoon turned to evening, the younger children returned home to find a transformed scene, father and daughter working side by side, the wall between them replaced by common purpose. Lily joined them at the table, quietly coloring nearby as Alex and Emma continued their work. The boys sensed the changed atmosphere, their play in the living room more relaxed than it had been in days. When Alex's phone chimed with a new text notification, he and Emma exchanged glances. "Mom?" Emma asked. Alex nodded after checking the screen. "She's coming home tomorrow. Wants to talk about arrangements for the children." Emma's jaw tightened. "What are you going to do?" "What we're going to do," Alex corrected gently, "is be prepared. She doesn't know about any of this yet. The custody filing, the financial documentation, our— He paused. The word strange, but right. Our alliance. Emma nodded, understanding. She thinks she can just walk back in and take control. Yes, Alex confirmed. She does. They returned to their work with renewed purpose, the dining room table transforming into a command center of sorts. As night fell, Alex noticed Emma yawning despite her determination to continue. "Get some sleep," he advised. "Tomorrow will be challenging enough." Emma hesitated, then nodded. As she stood to leave, she impulsively hugged him again. "Dad, we're going to be okay, aren't we?" Alex held his daughter tight, feeling stronger than he had in days. "Yes, Emma, we're going to be okay." After Emma went upstairs, Alex continued working late into the night, his resolve strengthened by the unexpected alliance with his daughter. When his phone chimed one final time, he checked the message out of habit. "Arriving around 10 a.m. tomorrow. We need to talk about arrangements for the children." Alex set the phone down without responding, a calm certainty replacing the desperation of days earlier. Rachel would arrive expecting to dictate terms, to slip back into their lives on her conditions. She had no idea what awaited her. Sunday morning dawned clear and bright, sunlight streaming through kitchen windows as Alex prepared breakfast. The familiar routine of pancakes and scrambled eggs felt different today, purposeful rather than mechanical. Emma joined him early, silently taking over bacon duty while he mixed batter. "Did you sleep?" she asked, noticing the shadows under his eyes. "Enough," Alex replied, though they both knew it wasn't true. The younger children filtered in gradually, drawn by familiar breakfast scents. Thomas set the table without being asked, a small gesture that caught Alex by surprise. Lily arranged napkins in neat triangles. Michael, still in dinosaur pajamas, climbed onto his chair with unusual quietness, sensing the charged atmosphere. "Dad, is something happening today?" Thomas asked, fork poised over his pancakes. Alex exchanged glances with Emma before answering. "Your mother is coming home this morning." Three heads snapped up in unison, expressions ranging from excitement to uncertainty. "She's coming back?" Michael's face lit up. "For good?" Alex chose his words carefully. "She's coming to talk with us. There are some changes we need to discuss." "What kind of changes?" Lily asked, her perceptive gaze moving between her father and older sister. Emma intervened smoothly. "Let's just enjoy breakfast, okay? We'll all find out soon enough." The meal continued with forced normality, though Alex noticed Emma barely ate, pushing food around her plate. His own stomach churned with anticipation, though not from the fear that had dominated days earlier. This was different, the focused tension before a necessary confrontation. At 9:45, Alex gathered the younger children in the living room. "When Mom arrives," he explained gently, "I need to speak with her alone first. Emma will stay with you upstairs." "But I want to see Mom right away," Michael protested. "I know, buddy." Alex rested a hand on his youngest son's shoulder. "And you will. But first, grown-ups need to talk." Emma shepherded her siblings upstairs with practiced efficiency, whispering something to Thomas that made him nod solemnly. As they disappeared up the staircase, she turned back to her father. "Are you sure you don't want me there?" Her voice was steady, but her fingers twisted nervously at her sleeve. "I'm sure," Alex confirmed. "This first part needs to be just between us." Emma nodded, then impulsively hugged him before following her siblings. The sound of a bedroom door closing upstairs left Alex alone in sudden silence. He moved methodically through the house, straightening already neat cushions, adjusting picture frames, controlling what little he could while waiting. At precisely 10:02, the distinctive sound of Rachel's car pulled into the driveway. Has someone's betrayal forced you to stand your ground when everything was at stake? Comment your experience, like if you've found your courage, and follow now. The courtroom showdown that changes everything is just ahead. Alex positioned himself in the entryway, watching through the narrow window as Rachel approached. She looked tanned and rested, wearing a new outfit he'd never seen before, oversized sunglasses masking her expression until she removed them at the door. A rolling suitcase waited beside her car, clearly expecting to stay. The doorbell rang, a strangely formal sound after 20 years of her simply walking in. Alex took a deep breath and opened the door, positioning himself squarely in the threshold. Rachel's smile faltered slightly at his stance, but recovered quickly. "Alex?" she greeted him, as if returning from a routine business trip. "We need to talk." "Yes, we do," he agreed, making no move to step aside. Her eyes narrowed slightly at his unexpected firmness. "Can I come in? It's my house, too." "No, it isn't," Alex replied evenly. "Not anymore." Rachel's confident demeanor slipped further, genuine surprise crossing her features. "Don't be ridiculous, Alex. Let me in. Where are the kids? I want to see them." "The children are upstairs, and they'll stay there until we've established some ground rules." "Ground rules?" Rachel's voice rose slightly. "What are you talking about? I just needed some time away, some space to think." "In Hawaii, with Daniel Rossi." Alex's voice remained steady. "While emptying our bank accounts." Rachel's expression froze, then shifted to defensive anger. "I see you've been snooping through my personal business." "Your personal business became my business when you abandoned our 4 children without warning and stole our retirement savings." Alex felt a single tear of determination slide down his cheek, quickly wiped away. "Did you really think you could just walk back in and dictate terms?" "This is absurd," Rachel huffed, reaching for the door to push past him. "I'm coming in to see my children." Alex stood firm. "No, you're not today. You can't keep me from my own children." Her voice rose, the facade of calm completely gone now. "I'm their mother, a mother who left them with a text message while stealing their college funds," Alex countered, reaching into his pocket. "These are for you." He extended an envelope containing the custody filing papers Richard had prepared. Rachel stared at it, not taking it. "What is this?" "I'm filing for full custody of our children," Alex explained, voice steady despite the emotion churning within. "On grounds of abandonment and financial malfeasance." Rachel's face paled, then flushed with anger. "You're insane if you think any judge would give you full custody. I needed a break, not a divorce." "A break doesn't involve emptying joint bank accounts and flying to Hawaii with your lover," Alex replied. "Those actions have consequences, Rachel." She snatched the envelope, tearing it open and scanning the contents. Her eyes widened as she read, shock giving way to calculation. "This will never hold up," she insisted, though uncertainty had crept into her voice. "I have just as much right to the children as you do." "Read page 3, Alex suggested. "The financial documentation." Miss Torres at the bank was very helpful. Rachel's expression shifted again as she flipped pages, the full implications dawning. "You've been busy, haven't you?" "I had to be. Our children's security was at stake." "This is vindictive, Alex, punishing me because I needed space." "Stop." Alex's quiet command silenced her. "This isn't about punishment. It's about protecting our children from someone who abandoned them without a second thought, who stole their future security for a Hawaiian vacation with a coworker. Rachel's face hardened. You'll regret this. Daniel's brother is a judge. Good luck with your custody case. Threatening judicial interference, Alex noted calmly. I'll be sure to add that to the file. Rachel thrust the papers back at him. I want to see my children, now. Not today, Alex repeated. My lawyer advised against unsupervised contact until the custody hearing. You can't do this. Rachel's voice rose again, desperation creeping in. They're my children, too. Yes, they are, Alex acknowledged, which makes your abandonment all the more incomprehensible. From upstairs came the sound of a door opening, then footsteps on the stairs. Emma appeared behind her father, her gaze cold as she regarded her mother. Emma! Rachel's tone immediately softened, reaching past Alex. Sweetheart, tell your father this is ridiculous. You know I just needed some time away. Emma's expression remained unmoved. With Daniel Rossi, while emptying our bank accounts, Rachel faltered, clearly not expecting this unified front. Emma, you don't understand adult relationships. I understand lying, Emma interrupted. I understand manipulation. I understand abandonment. Her voice caught slightly. I found your wedding ring in the bathroom drawer. You'd already decided before you left. Rachel's gaze darted between father and daughter, the alliance between them clearly unexpected. Emma, we can talk about this. Just let me in, and we'll sort everything out. There's nothing to sort out, Emma replied, her hand coming to rest on her father's shoulder in solidarity. You made your choice when you left. Now we're making ours. Rachel's expression hardened again. Fine. If that's how you want to play this, I'll see you both in court. She turned to leave, then looked back. Tell your brothers and sister I tried to see them, but your father wouldn't allow it. We'll tell them the truth, Emma responded. All of it. As Rachel stormed back to her car, Alex gently closed the door. He turned to find Emma trembling slightly, the bravado of moments before giving way to emotion. You did well, he told her softly. Emma nodded, tears threatening but held back. So did you. Upstairs, 3 confused faces peered down from the landing, having heard raised voices, but not the words. Alex looked up at his younger children, heart heavy with the knowledge that their innocent understanding of family had been forever altered. Dad? Thomas called down. Is Mom gone? Yes, Alex answered simply. She's gone. But we're still here. Together. He extended his arm, and Emma moved into his embrace. They stood that way for a moment, father and daughter united in both pain and resolve, while upstairs 3 siblings watched with confusion, gradually giving way to understanding. The battle had only just begun, but the first stand had been made, together. The county courthouse stood imposing against the morning sky, its stone columns and broad steps lending gravity to the proceedings about to unfold inside. Alex straightened his tie, a nervous gesture more for himself than appearances. Beside him, Richard reviewed notes one final time before they entered. Remember what we discussed, his lawyer and friend advised. Stay calm, answer only what's asked, and let the evidence speak for itself. Alex nodded, his gaze catching on Emma waiting nearby with Miss Torres, who had agreed to accompany her. His daughter had insisted on testifying despite his initial reluctance. At 17, the court would consider her perspective significant. Are you ready? Richard asked. As ready as I'll ever be, Alex replied, taking a deep breath before climbing the steps. Inside, the courtroom's wood-paneled formality heightened his awareness of what was at stake. Rachel was already seated at the opposite table, her lawyer, a man in an expensive suit whose confidence bordered on smugness, leaning close to whisper something that made her nod. She wore a conservative dress Alex had never seen before, her appearance carefully calculated to project maternal responsibility. What struck him most, however, was the empty chair beside her. Daniel Rossi, so prominent in the Hawaiian photos, was conspicuously absent. As Alex settled beside Richard, Rachel glanced over. For a brief moment, their eyes met, 20 years of shared history suspended between them before she looked away. Judge Wilson entered, an older man with white hair and piercing eyes that seemed to miss nothing. As the proceedings began, Alex focused on maintaining the composure Richard had emphasized would be crucial. Rachel's lawyer presented first, painting a sympathetic portrait of a woman who had experienced a temporary lapse in judgment during a period of emotional distress. According to this narrative, Rachel had simply needed brief respite from family pressures and now sought to return to her maternal responsibilities. "My client acknowledges her departure was abrupt," the lawyer admitted smoothly, "but maintains that a momentary indiscretion should not permanently sever her bond with her children. She is prepared to return home immediately and resume her maternal duties." Judge Wilson's expression remained neutral as he turned to Richard. "Counsel for the petitioner may present." Richard rose, his approach methodical where Rachel's lawyer had been emotive. "Your Honor, this case goes far beyond a momentary indiscretion. The respondent's actions demonstrate calculated abandonment and financial malfeasance that place the children's welfare at risk." He proceeded to present the evidence Alex had so carefully compiled. Emails dating back months showing premeditation, financial records documenting the systematic emptying of accounts, text messages revealing the callous nature of Rachel's departure. "The timeline is critical, Your Honor," Richard emphasized, displaying a chart of withdrawals alongside email dates. Each financial transfer coincides precisely with planning communications between the respondent and her paramour, demonstrating this was no impulsive act but a calculated desertion. Judge Wilson leaned forward, studying the financial records with particular interest. "These withdrawals began well before the respondent's departure." 5 weeks prior, Your Honor," Richard confirmed. "The final transfer occurred 1 day before she left the country." The judge turned toward Rachel. "Mrs. Marshall, did you withdraw these funds before leaving?" Rachel glanced at her lawyer before answering. "I needed security for myself. I was uncertain about my future. While leaving your husband and 4 children without financial resources." Judge Wilson's tone remained neutral, but his question cut to the heart of the matter. Rachel shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't take everything, and I planned to sort out finances once I returned." Judge Wilson made a note before turning back to Richard. "Continue." Miss Torres testified next, her professional demeanor lending weight to the financial evidence. She explained the pattern of withdrawals, the creation of a hidden account under Rachel's maiden name, and the impact on the family's financial security. "In my 30 years of banking experience," she concluded, "I have rarely seen such a deliberate dismantling of family finances prior to abandonment." Throughout the testimony, Alex noticed Rachel checking her phone repeatedly, glancing toward the courtroom door with increasing agitation. Daniel's absence was clearly unexpected and concerning to her. Then came Emma's testimony, the moment Alex had both anticipated and dreaded. His daughter walked to the witness stand with surprising composure, though he noticed her hands trembling slightly as she was sworn in. "Miss Marshall," Richard began gently, "could you describe the circumstances surrounding your mother's departure?" Emma's voice was steady as she recounted waking to find her mother gone. The confused younger siblings, her father's efforts to maintain stability despite his own shock. She described finding the abandoned wedding ring, the devastating impact of Rachel's absence on her brothers and sister, and the calculated way Rachel had tried to turn her against her father. "She told me Dad made her miserable," Emma testified, emotion finally breaking through her composure, "that she felt suffocated. But all that time, she was planning to leave with someone else. She lied to me, used me against my dad, then abandoned all of us." Rachel's lawyer objected to the characterization, but the impact of Emma's testimony was unmistakable. Even more damaging was her description of Rachel's return and expectation to resume control without consequences. When Rachel finally took the stand, her earlier confidence had visibly diminished. Her testimony became increasingly defensive as Richard methodically contrasted her claims of temporary lapse in judgment with the documented evidence of long-term planning. "Mrs. Marshall," Richard asked, "where is Mr. Rossi today?" "The court was informed he would testify regarding your relationship and future plans." Rachel's composure slipped further. "He had other commitments." "Would those commitments include the woman tagged in his social media posts yesterday, posted from Chicago, not Hawaii?" A single tear slid down Rachel's cheek as she realized the final betrayal. Daniel had moved on while she fought for what she'd abandoned. Her lawyer quickly requested a brief recess, which Judge Wilson granted. When proceedings resumed, Rachel's lawyer approached the bench with a modified position. Rachel would accept temporary visitation rather than shared custody, allowing healing time for the family. Judge Wilson's gavel came down with finality an hour later. "Based on the evidence presented, this court grants temporary full custody of all 4 minor children to Alexander Marshall, with supervised visitation rights for Rachel Marshall to be determined at a future hearing." A single tear of vindication slid down Alex's cheek as the decision was announced, emotion finally breaking through his careful composure. Emma rushed to his side as the court adjourned, throwing her arms around him while the younger children, who had been waiting outside with a court-appointed advocate, joined the embrace. Rachel stood alone across the courtroom, her lawyer already packing his briefcase separately, her phone clutched in her hand, with no messages from Daniel appearing. As she moved toward the exit, she paused briefly beside her former family, opening her mouth as if to speak before continuing silently out the door. Outside on the courthouse steps, sunlight warm against their faces, Thomas looked up at his father. "Does this mean Mom isn't coming home?" Alex knelt to his son's level, finding honesty the only possible answer. "Yes, that's what it means. But our home is still there, with all of us together." "Are we going to be okay?" Michael asked, echoing the question that had haunted them all. Alex gathered his children close, the weight of single parenthood balanced by the relief of resolution. "Yes," he promised, with certainty that surprised even himself. "We're going to be okay." As they descended the courthouse steps together, Alex noticed Rachel standing alone by her car across the parking lot, watching them. Their eyes met briefly across the distance, 20 years of shared history, 4 children between them, and a future irrevocably altered. Then she turned away, entering her car alone, while Alex walked forward, surrounded by the family that remained. The victory brought no joy, only vindication and the beginning of healing. The single tear that had escaped during the judge's ruling had been not for what was won, but for what had been lost, the family they had once been, the trust now broken, the innocence their children would never fully regain. But as they walked to the car together, Emma's arm linked through his, Thomas and Michael racing ahead while Lily held his hand. Alex felt something unexpected beneath the complex emotions of the day. Hope. Not for reconciliation or returning to what was, but for building something new from what remained. Something perhaps stronger for having been broken and carefully mended. Justice had been served, not as punishment, but as protection. The hardest battle was won. Now, the real work of rebuilding could begin. 3 months after the custody hearing, Alex stood at the stove stirring spaghetti sauce, the familiar rhythm of dinner preparation now comforting rather than painful. The kitchen had become command central for their reconfigured family. Homework supervised at the table, weekly schedules posted on the refrigerator, family meetings held over dessert. "Dad, is the sauce almost ready?" Lily called from the dining room where she was setting the table. "Thomas is starving," according to his very dramatic announcements. "5 more minutes," Alex replied, smiling at the echo of words spoken that first devastating evening. The same phrase, yet everything around it transformed. The table Lily arranged now had 5 settings again, though not for Rachel. Emma's boyfriend Jake had become a regular Sunday dinner guest, his easy humor and respectful manner a welcome addition to their healing household. "Need any help?" Emma appeared beside him, reaching for plates. "I've got it under control," Alex assured her. "How's that college application coming?" Emma had spent the afternoon working on submissions, her future plans temporarily derailed by family crisis, now back on track. "Personal essay is done. Jake's dad looked it over. He thinks Cornell will be impressed." The casual mention of Jake's father, an English professor at the local community college, highlighted another change. Their support network had expanded, friends and neighbors stepping up in unexpected ways once the truth of their situation became known. Dinner gathered them all together, Thomas proudly describing his science project, Michael recounting playground adventures, Lily sharing artwork she'd created in class. Jake contributed occasional comments, but mostly observed with quiet appreciation, his hand sometimes finding Emma's under the table. The conversation flowed naturally, punctuated by laughter, a sound that had returned to their home gradually, first hesitantly, then with increasing frequency. Alex found himself pausing mid-bite, struck by the realization that they were not just surviving, but beginning to thrive. "Dad?" Thomas's voice pulled him back to the moment. "Can Jake help me with my rocket design after dinner? He knows about aerodynamics." "If Jake's willing and has time," Alex replied. Jake nodded enthusiastically. "Absolutely. My dad and I built rockets every summer. I've got some design tips that'll make yours fly higher than anyone's." The easy interaction between Jake and the younger children was another unexpected blessing, a positive male influence when they most needed additional support. Alex caught Emma watching the exchange, her expression soft with affection for both her boyfriend and her brother. After dinner, while Jake and Thomas spread rocket designs across the living room floor and Michael watched in fascination, Alex stood at the kitchen sink washing dishes. Emma and Lily dried beside him, a comfortable routine they'd established. "Dad?" Lily asked suddenly. "Is Mom ever coming back to live with us?" The question hung in the air, simple yet profound. Alex set down the pot he was scrubbing, giving the question the attention it deserved. "No, sweetheart. Mom won't be coming back to live with us." Lily nodded, absorbing this confirmation of what she'd already sensed. "That's what I thought. I just wanted to be sure." "Are you okay with that?" Alex asked gently. Lily considered the question with the thoughtfulness that characterized her. "I miss who Mom used to be, but I like our family now. It feels safer." The word struck Alex deeply. Safer. Even a 12-year-old had sensed the fundamental stability that came from trust, and its absence when trust was broken. Later, after the younger children were in bed and Jake had gone home with plans to return for breakfast before church, Alex found himself on the back porch swing. Unlike that night of despair months earlier, he sat there now in peaceful reflection, gazing at stars visible through breaks in passing clouds. Emma joined him, 2 mugs of tea in hand. "Thought you might like some company." "Always," Alex smiled, accepting the mug as she settled beside him. They swung gently in comfortable silence before Emma spoke again. "We got another letter from Mom today." Alex nodded. Rachel's supervised visitations remained awkward, limited affairs. Her letters came more frequently, attempts to maintain connection with children still raw from her abandonment. "Michael doesn't want to read them anymore," Emma continued. "Says they make him sad afterward." "I've noticed that too," Alex acknowledged. "I'll talk with her caseworker about it." Another comfortable silence fell between them, broken only by the gentle creak of the swing's chains. "Cornell's a long way from home," Alex finally said, voicing the thought that had been weighing on him since Emma's applications began. Emma turned to him, understanding immediately. "I'm also applying to state. It's a good school, too, and only an hour away." "Emma, I don't want you limiting your options because of what happened. If Cornell is your dream—" "It's not about Mom," Emma interrupted. "Or not entirely, anyway. It's about what I've learned these past months." She looked out at the backyard where all 4 siblings had played throughout their childhood. "Family matters. Being there for each other matters. I'm not giving up opportunities. I'm prioritizing what's important." Alex felt a surge of pride mixed with concern. "You're 17. You shouldn't have to shoulder adult worries." "I'm not," Emma assured him. "I'm making choices based on what I value." "That's what growing up is, right?" The wisdom in her words reminded Alex how much his oldest child had matured through their family crisis. Not just Emma. All of them had been transformed, forged by fire into stronger versions of themselves. Their peaceful reflection was interrupted by Alex's phone buzzing with a text message. He checked it, then sighed. "Rachel?" Emma guessed. Alex nodded. "She wants to discuss changing the visitation schedule." "You okay?" "Yeah." He realized with mild surprise that it was true. The text that once would have sent him spiraling now registered as merely an administrative matter to be handled. "I'll have Richard look into it tomorrow." Emma smiled, recognizing the same thing he had. Healing, happening in small increments, almost imperceptible until moments like this made it obvious. As they continued swinging gently, a shooting star streaked across the visible patch of sky. Alex made a silent wish, not for what was lost, but for what remained and what could still grow. The tear that slid down his cheek surprised him, different from all the tears that had come before. Not shock, not grief, not anger or vindication. This was a tear of hope, of gratitude for the family that had emerged stronger from their breaking. "Dad?" Emma had noticed the tear. "You okay?" "More than okay," he assured her, squeezing her hand. "Just grateful." Tomorrow would bring new challenges, helping Michael process his feelings about his mother's letters, discussing Thomas's dropping grades with his teacher, managing the household budget, still recovering from Rachel's withdrawals. But tonight, in this moment of quiet connection with his daughter under the stars, Alex allowed himself to acknowledge how far they had come. When they finally headed inside, the house wrapped around them. Not the same home it had been before Rachel's text message changed everything, but perhaps a better one. More honest, more resilient. The broken places mended with the stronger bonds of shared struggle and genuine love. As Alex turned out lights and checked locks, a final text arrived from Rachel. "Please reconsider the visitation schedule. I miss the children." Once her words would have twisted like a knife. Now Alex felt only a distant sadness for what she had sacrificed and lost. He set the phone down without responding and headed upstairs to his room. On his nightstand sat a framed photograph, new, taken last month at Thomas's birthday celebration. Just the five of them, smiling genuinely despite the journey that had brought them there. No longer a broken family missing a member, but a complete unit, exactly as they were. Alex touched the frame gently before turning out the light. They would never be the family they had been before, but the family they were becoming might be stronger, more authentic, and ultimately happier than what had been lost. Not an ending, but a new beginning. And for tonight, that was enough. There comes a moment in life when the world stops turning, doesn't there? Maybe for you, it wasn't a text message announcing abandonment. Perhaps it was a different betrayal, a trusted friend's deception, a family member's shocking choice, a partner's gradual drift into someone unrecognizable. The details differ, but that sick feeling in your stomach when trust shatters, that's universal. You've stood in your kitchen, just like Alex did, trying to keep your hands steady while your world collapses. You've put on that brave face for others, while inside a storm rages. Those quiet sobs behind closed doors when no one can see your vulnerability. I understand. We've all tasted those salt tears at some point, wondered how we'll possibly find strength to face another morning. The hardest moments aren't always the dramatic ones. Sometimes they're ordinary Tuesday afternoons when you're folding laundry or paying bills, and suddenly the weight of everything crashes down. That porch swing where you once rocked babies now creaks with the heaviness of your solitude. The family photos that once brought joy now sting with what's been lost. Ain't it something how everyday objects become witnesses to our pain? The coffee mug still set out from habit, the empty chair at the table, the calendar marked with plans that included someone who's gone. But here's what I've learned, watching Alex's journey from devastation to rebuilding. Dignity isn't about never falling. It's about how you rise afterward. It's about those moments when you wipe your tears, square your shoulders, and face what needs facing, not because you feel strong, but because others depend on your strength. It's about discovering resilience you never knew lived inside you. The wisdom of your years isn't just decoration, it's armor for battles like these. You've weathered storms before. You've rebuilt from ashes. The lines on your face aren't just marks of age, but badges of survival, each one earned through a challenge overcome. When betrayal comes calling, that hard-earned wisdom becomes your most powerful ally. Remember this, broken families don't always stay broken. Sometimes they rebuild into something stronger, more authentic than before. Different, yes. Scarred, certainly, but whole in ways that matter most. The evening star still shines after the darkest day. The porch swing still holds you up. And your heart, though bruised, still knows how to beat with purpose, with love, with hope. Your story isn't over yet, not by a long shot.